Hello everyone, Miller Booker B here. Today I'm going to go over the deck I'm most excited about in the BT8 format, and that is Mastemon. Mastemon is sort of a combo-flavored control deck that seeks to eliminate a lot of opposing threats and create a lot of threats in a massive swing turn using the new Mastemon fusion. One of the things I really like about this deck is how you have to make calculated decisions on when to play your cards, as a lot of the cards are very expensive, and that creates a really interesting risk-reward type of playstyle that really rewards smart risk-taking. Anyway, let's get started with my deck list. Now here is my list. Now, don't take this list as the be-all end-all of Mastemon decks. This deck has a lot of different kinds of flavors. You can take it. You can go for a more rookie-centric version that aims to be more consistent and have a little bit more early game pressure. You can go for a more security control leaning variant that has more options, possibly more dead or alives. This is kind of more of a middle ground between the two, and the list I've been going with recently. So to start, we have our eggs. We have 1 Demi-Meramon and 4 Niaramon. Niaramon is the new egg from the starter deck. It allows you to, when attacking, draw a card and discard a card if you have a yellow Digimon in play. This means that if you evolve into one of our rookies that can evolve over purples, that would meet the yellow Digimon requirement. The reason I have more of this over the Demi-Meramon is because I want to try and guarantee get my draws, because a lot of the times the hands of this deck can feel a little bit clunky. The other options a lot of people are going with is the Tapirmon plus multiple Demi-Meramon. That is definitely a strong option. It just depends on Tapirmon dying in security, and I wanted to have a more consistent game plan, even if it's not as many draws or as powerful. Starting with the rookies, we have 4 of the starter deck Candlemon. This is the Candlemon with the Inheritable that allows you to DNA Digivolve at the end of the turn. Kind of a side option to our Gatomon. Mostly we play this to try and facilitate some extra draws, but if we build a stack that does not have a Gatomon, it is a nice option to allow us to get to our DNA Digivolve, which is one of the win conditions of the deck. Next we have 2 Candlemon. Candlemon allows you to gain a memory when you play another purple Digimon. This comes up occasionally, although it's not as frequent. It's a nice side level 3 to play on Longar Salamon. Finally, for our rookies, we have Gazimon. This is just a strong floodgate. Another option you could play in this slot is the new Psychmon, which prevents reducing play costs, which is very good against certain matchups. It's more of a meta-dependent call, and as we're likely to see lots of Imperial, I thought I'd go over Gazimon, although I've been testing with both. They both seem pretty fine. Next, we get to our Gatomon. This is the strongest card of our deck. We play 4 of it. You want to see it in every opening hand. A lot of times, if you're going first, you just want to give them 5 memory and slam this right away. This card is incredible. This card on play allows us to reveal the top 3 cards of our deck, add a yellow and purple Digimon card from among them to our hand. So it's a searcher, like something like Davis, that allows you to grab 2 types of Digimon of different colors. And our entire deck, as you can see, is multiple yellow and purple Digimon, so it generally grabs 1, a lot of times 2 different targets, especially if it sees double colored Digimon that we have all over the place. On top of this, its even stronger effect is that when you Digivolve into a Archangel or Fallen Angel, which is all of our level 5s, it reduces the Digivolution cost by 2, meaning we get to play most of our level 5s for 1 memory, which is incredibly powerful. It means we can go into our Mastemon play even if we have 1 memory, as long as we have a Gatomon set up in some way. It does have a high 3 to Digivolve cost, but that doesn't matter because of this reduction. It's kind of paying for it up front and getting the discount on the back end of the effect. Finally, its Inheritable is the you can DNA Digivolve at the end of the turn. The deck doesn't work without this, as you are often passing your opponent a lot of memory before going into your fusion. Next up, we have 2 Wizardmon. Wizardmon is just a vanilla yellow-purple Digimon. I thought it was a nice side option to Gatomon. And our 7th level 6 is Witchmon. Witchmon has a security effect that allows you to play this card. And on play, you can return a level 5 purple Digimon card to your hand from your trash. This card is kind of, I'd say, the weakest option in the deck. It's the thing I've wanted to cut the most. I haven't really got in that much use out of it. But it's a nice little level 4, and we don't play a lot of level 4s. If you notice, we play 8 rookies and 7 champions. As you're about to see, most of our deck is the options and the level 5s. Going on, the most important level 5 in this deck is 4 Magna Angelmon. This is the reason this deck is starting to creep up in price, why it skyrocketed. This card is absolutely necessary for this deck. You need a minimum of 3, but when I was playing 3, I wanted more, so I bumped it to 4. This card allows you to on-play heal, while it's giving you the inheritable to get plus 1,000 for every 3 cards in your security. It's more so for the heal. We are a slow deck. We need to build up our resources and buy us time, while also getting benefits from the on-play is very, very good for our Mastemon. Healing is important. This card's always been good. Probably will be good until they power creep it somehow. This card's incredible. Next up, we have the Lady Devimon from 1.5. This card allows you to, when Digivolving, draw 2, discard 2. You've seen this before. Basically, with the Digivolving to draw 3, discard 2, it gives us Graceful Charity on Digivolve. It's super great with our Gatomon since we can go into this already excellent card for 1 memory. On top of it, we have the Inheritable. That Inheritable actually comes up a lot to help remove small threats once we've established our board, making our end boards just really hard to deal with. Next up, instead of a 4th 1.5 Lady Devimon, I actually have the new starter deck 10 Lady Devimon. This one is overall worse. It allows you to trash a card in your hand when Digivolving to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and add a yellow and purple Angel, Archangel, or Fallen Angel, which does not include our Lucemon Chaos Mode, which is unfortunate, but it grabs all the other angels. The reason I chose to play this as a one-of is that I wanted a purple target for emergency situations to grab with my Flame Health Scythe, and that card requires a Digimon to be at 6k DP. Other than that, it's just a 4th purple that allows us to go into our fusion. Next up, we have our Angelmon from the starter deck. This card's pretty good. On play, you can minus security attack 2 to one of your opponent's Digimon, as well as inheritable. If I have a purple Digimon in play, gain security attack plus 1. Because we play dual colored level 6s, this is always active if it's the inheritable. It gives our deck a little bit more pressure and also expands our toolbox of when we're trying to grab stuff for our Mastemon from our trash or our security. Because sometimes healing is less good than just minusing a threat that has multiple security checks. Finally, for our level 5s, we have our pseudo level 5. We never really play this as a 5 to Digivolve because it is our Lucemon Chaos Mode. This is a really strong removal option. It's not 100% necessary in this deck, but I would be remiss to not play the deck without it. It is very powerful. It allows us to deal with level 6s, which we have a little bit of an issue with without this card. And also has the extra utility of allowing us to kill Tamers. One of the best benefits of this card is, as we get to the Mastemon, is it can be played with Mastemon's effect. And that's the most often way we grab this card. Next up, as you see, even though we are a Mastemon deck, I am going for a 3-3 split on Ophanimon Fall Down Mode and the new Mastemon. This is because I felt like Ophanimon was a more generic good card in most situations, where Mastemon is more so our finisher once we set up. So I wanted to have this more flexible option so that my hands aren't bricked with Mastemon when I cannot go for fusion. Ophanimon Fall Down Mode allows us to, when we Digivolve, depending on the color of Digimon in the source, gets different effects. If it has a purple Digimon, it can delete a level 4 lower. If it has a yellow Digimon, it can recovery plus 1, allowing us to heal more. If we have both colors, we get both. But there are times when we've, let's say, hard played a Magna Angelmon or had to hard play our Lucemon or Angelmon that we will only get one of the effects. So you do have to keep that in mind. However, double effects happen often. Mostly we want the heal effect, but sometimes we want the other effect. Then, on the cherry on top of this card, which is really good in this deck specifically, is on deletion, we could play a level 4 lower purple or yellow Digimon from our trash, which means we could recycle our Gatomon, allowing us to secure a play for the future to possibly make another Mastemon or another Ophanimon play happen. Next up is the big boss of the deck. We have our Mastemon. This uses the new DNA Digivolve fusion mechanic to take 2 level 5 of Digimon, which is why we play so many of them, to fuse into this Digimon and get a load of effects. It's when Digivolving effect is we can place a yellow or purple Digimon card from our trash. This happens regardless of DNA Digivolve, but the reason it's so powerful is the DNA Digivolve effect. When DNA Digivolving, I can search your security stack, so after grabbing, generally the target you grab from your trash is what you're going to want to take out of the security, but not always. But after you've placed a level 5 card in from your trash into your security, you can search your security for a level 5 or lower Digimon and just play it without paying its cost. It gets its on-play effects, allowing us to get a whole suite of great effects. Then, all turns, when you play a Digimon using an effect, this includes its own effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon whose level is less than or equal to that Digimon. So, this means that we can grab any of these level 5s, such as Magna Angelmon for a heal, Lucemon for removal, Angelmon for minus security attack, play them with the effect, and delete an extra thing with her own effect. This creates massive board swings, it gives a lot of flexibility as basically our little mini toolbox we have. Sometimes you even just need to grab a Gatomon because they're not set up and you just want to look for more cards. On top of just being a massive 13k threat, bigger if we have Magna Angelmon, more threatening if we have Angelmon, and it has all turns effect, which means if we find more ways to summon things, this effect will continue to proc. This card is very, very strong. Rounding out our Digimon, we have 3 Zort Defeat. I would say this deck likes to play anywhere between 2 to 4 of them, at least if you're playing this variant. You know this card. It's the worst card to ever hit in security. It's a free Digimon that has on deletion, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. But we actually did evolve into this card a lot, as it is very effective to remove some of the really key tamers in this format. So just an all-around great card. Something that's extra special about Zord Defeat in this deck is that if we already have Mastemon set up, Mastemon's all turns effect makes Zord Defeat's already gross security effect even worse, as it will trigger the delete something of the same level or lower, and being a level 7, that means every Digimon in the game. If you ever get that playoff, you basically win the matchup. It's so hard to come back from that. Going into our options, we play a good suite of them. We play 1 Dead or Alive for our 2 Lucemon Chaos mode. If you're playing a more security control type of deck, you would probably bump these numbers up. But I just have the 1 as a nice tool I can use to play my Lucemon from my trash if that is a play I need to make. Or sometimes you'll just hit it in security and feel really great about it. Then I play 2 Purple Memory Boost. Sometimes you need to search for different pieces because you are trying to assemble a conglomerate of pieces to make your Mastemon plays. But on top of that, just using the memory for later allows us to kind of dent the blow of some of our very high memory plays that we have to make. Next up is the best option in our deck. This is Flame Hellscythe. This is a new card in BT8. It has the effect minus 6k from an opponent's Digimon for the turn, then play a purple or yellow Digimon with 6k DP or less from your trash without paying its memory cost. This also activates the exact same effect in security. This means that for a reduced cost, we can summon our Magna Angelmon, which is our go-to target, meaning we could minus 6k from something, possibly deleting it, and heal, which is really powerful. It also has the additional utility of letting us go into our Angelmon if minus security attack is a little bit more effective, or if we desperately need a purple card, we have the 1 Lady Devi. This card is crazy. It's so strong. It's one of the best reasons to play this style of Mastemon deck. Next up, we have Reinforced Memory Boost. Great card, healing, extra memory later on. There's a reason it's at 1. It's really powerful. Next up is 3 Chaos Degrade. This is probably our strongest security bomb against big threats. There isn't really a way to stop this card's effect, which makes it extra powerful. Its main effect is place one of your opponent's Digimon face down at the top or bottom of your opponent's security stack. Usually, I would say the bottom, unless it's like exactly a Zort Defeat. And then you can trash the top card of their security. So generally, I take their biggest boss monster, put it at the bottom, and then hopefully trash the security bomb at the top of their stack. And then its security effect is you only activate the place on top or bottom. You do not trash the card afterwards. But that's still powerful in security, even though it technically heals our opponent. We generally are playing the long game, so the 1 extra health doesn't matter too much, and it's much better that we got rid of a really big threat. Then up we have our Tamer lineup. We're playing 3, 1 TK, really good searcher, but in this deck, I opt for more of the Kari Kamiya from the new BT8 set. All 3 of these are memory tamers, but Kari's effect is when we add a card to our security stack, you can suspend it to gain 1 memory. Because a lot of our plays cost a lot of memory, it helps us dent the blow in that capacity. That means our Magna Angelmons go for 6. When we go for our Mastemon play, we are allowed to gain additional memory from that. Our Ophanimon can go for 3 memory instead of 4. Really versatile in our deck, allowing us to kind of squeeze out extra value out of our turns. Anyway, that's the deck. Let's go into some of the little tips and combos that we can do with this deck. Alright, so for our first tip I want to give you guys is really just play your cards. A lot of people might get into the basic Digimon plan of, I need to be Digivolving all of my cards. In this deck, it's very common that if I have something like this in my opening hand, I would realistically Digivolve into the Candlemon to draw a card, but I would not Digivolve the Gatomon over the Candlemon. I would instead give my opponent the 5 memory to play it. The reason is that setting up our Gatomon, often we don't have all the pieces yet, it allows us to search, but also set up a 1 memory play with one of our angels next turn. We could do that in the raising area, but that means we have searched for less of our deck. We really need to find our pieces. Gatomon is often our best turn 1 play. We really want to play this card. Even if we're giving our opponent 5 memory, most decks aren't going to answer it. Obviously, you have to do this on a matchup by matchup basis. For example, Imperial, I almost always want to do this, as it kind of sets me up to try and set up a position where they're not going to just start destroying me. But against something like, let's say Yellow Hybrid, they have a lot more removal, so it's maybe a little better to keep it safer in the raising area. If you go turn 2 with this kind of hand, sometimes it's a little scary to play Gatomon because they already have some threats established, but it's still generally the best play, as they've probably given you like a couple memory. You just give them like 3 memory with the Gatomon play. Kind of going along the same line, we have Magna Angelmon. Sometimes you just want to play this card. Often we want to play it when we have like 3 memory, so that we give them like only like 4, or if we maybe give them 5. But sometimes we really just have to give them 7 memory. Not everyone always has an answer to a level 5 Digimon, so its on-play effect is still good. It gives you the healing, sets up a possible Ophanimon play, or even a Mastemon play going into the future. Another quick tip is for our Flame Health Scythe. Flame Health Scythe is an excellent card, but you don't always have to remove something with its effect. Sometimes you just want to revive the Digimon and get the on-play effect. Be aware of that, it does come up. Also, a lot of new players make this mistake, but make sure you have both of the colors available so that you can activate this card. A lot of people have tried playing this deck against me, and have tried activating this card when they only have a purple or only have a yellow Digimon. Make sure you have the right colors, and that goes for all of the options of this deck, as because we have multiple colors, there is a lot of option variants, especially in my build, where my rookie starts as purple but then changes to yellow. Just be careful of how you're playing your cards in that sense. For my final little tip I want to give before we kind of go into the core Mastemon combo is generally something you want to do for most yellow decks, and that is kind of keep in mind what your security looks like. So when we play a TK, or if we've gone for our Mastemon play, we want to kind of keep in mind what our security is so that we know what to play around. If we see some security bombs, we are allowed to play a little bit more risky because we know that our security is going to bail us out. But if we don't see a lot of security bombs, it might be a little dangerous to go for risky plays. Something that you should definitely play around if you see it is that if you've done the Mastemon play and you see a Zort defeat in your security, Mastemon is definitely a hard card to remove. So you have that really nice insurance of having a Zort defeat there and can try to hold and stick on that card. Alright, so let's go over the core combo for this deck. It's not that complicated, so we should be able to pick it up pretty easily. Generally, we want to evolve into our level 5. Mostly, it's our Lady Devimon, which is why it's the most heavily played purple card we play. We would Digivolve it over our Gatomon for 1 memory because of Gatomon's excellent effect. Draw 3 cards, and then we, after drawing 3 cards, generally want to discard what we want to revive with our Mastemon if we don't have it already. In this scenario, we already have a Magna Angelmon, but we might need to get a Lucemon Chaos Mode, so we'll discard Lucemon Chaos Mode and this other extra card that we drew that we don't really need. Then we will either play a Flame Health Scythe or something like a Magna Angelmon, giving a lot of memory to our opponent. Remember, Mastemon has very high risk in terms of giving your opponent a lot to do with their turn, but the Mastemon play is so powerful that it affords us to do this. So by playing the Magna Angelmon, we are able to recover 1. We are able to then, because we have the Gatomon inheritable, perform our fusion, which allows us to go into our Mastemon. We get to draw an additional card because of the Digivolve. Mastemon's effect triggers, we can summon something. Depending on if we need to remove more threats or heal more things, we can grab one of our cards. Let's say they have a Tamer and a level 5 Digimon. We can grab our Lucemon Chaos Mode, shuffle it into our security, look into our security, and grab something. In this scenario, we have, let's just look at it for a second. This scenario, we have some good security bombs. We're pretty going to be built out this game, but I don't want to grab any of these other cards, so we're just going to grab the Lucemon Chaos Mode. Chaos Mod will pop the Tamer that we were targeting and kill their Digimon, kind of negating their setup a little bit. And we are set up for a really strong follow-up play the next turn if we have like a fall down mode, or if we just want to hard Digivolve a Mastemon, or if we want to just have good bodies to play, and we've already removed a bunch of threats and drew a couple more cards. And that would be it. Really quickly, I just want to mention, I know this deck is pretty expensive. A lot of money cards in here. A lot of the cards have went up in price value, such as Magna Angelmon and Omnimon Zord Defeat. That is unfortunately a barrier that this deck is going to have. I think you absolutely need the Magna Angelmon. However, I will try to save you guys a couple bucks. Maybe in the future show off a build of this deck that doesn't quite necessarily need Zord Defeat or Lucemon. There are some ideas, people going around of more of a combo-centric Omnimon Zord variant. But I still think the best variant is the Zord Defeat, more controlling variant. And it is going to be a pricey deck. Especially since, even regardless, you need the Magna Angelmon. But if you already have them, this is definitely a great deck to pick up. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you found it informative and helpful. And if you liked the video, make sure to do the YouTube thing down below. And I appreciate your support. Have a wonderful day.